Conversations with the Universe. So I'm only mentioning this because I've seen a lot of this recent hatred and damn near pretty front street racism when it comes to the recent election that happened. That's polarizing enough between all the fighting back and forth to the left and the right. But what really set things off, I think, was when Charlie Kirk was horrifically assassinated. That didn't help anybody, but I think that kind of lit a fire in some people when it comes to their hatred towards others. And as soon as they mentioned Bad Bunny going to the Super Bowl, my first thought was, "Oh, that's cool. Let's do it." But the backlash I've seen from family and friends I know personally about Bad Bunny and talking bad about Puerto Ricans, that means they don't even know the contributions of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico predates the United States by what, almost 300 years, at least 200 years. Uh, the U.S. is about to celebrate 250 years next year. That's it. It's not a long time. Puerto Rico was colonized by Spain in 1493, right? So Columbus arrived in 1492. He sailed the ocean blue and started colonizing the Bahamas and Hispaniola, Dominican Republic. And then the next trip, the second trip to the Caribbean, he colonized Puerto Rico through Spain, which almost killed 90% of the Taino Native Americans, the first Native Americans killed during the European colonization, which no one talks about. And Spain colonized Puerto Rico from 1493 to 1898. And then in 1898, the U.S. took over and kept Puerto Rico a colony this entire time. So we don't have states' rights, we don't have sovereignty, but we've served in every single war. Some folks will tell you that we only started serving in World War One and World War Two. Untrue. We served in the Revolutionary War and the Civil War under Spain because Spain was an ally of the U.S. So we've served the entire time. But we have no rights. We can't vote for a president if you live on the island, only if you live on the mainland. And there's so much disparity and misinformation out there. It is ridiculous. It really is. And seeing all the hatred that people have because Bad Bunny is standing up for Puerto Rico and is cautious to have concerts in the U.S. because he's concerned that when you have a congregation of Hispanic people, here comes a big group of ICE to start arresting people. And that's a problem. There really is. Immigration is an issue. It's got to be taken care of the right way. But hey, when he speaks up against it, he gets a lot of hatred from it. He doesn't hate America. He does not hate America because he is American. And the guy behind him here, Roberto Clemente, which many consider him the best all-around baseball player in history, had to also deal with a lot of bullshit when he came to the United States from Puerto Rico. Being that he's African and Puerto Rican, as soon as he got to the States, he experienced the Jim Crow era of U.S. racism, segregation, and hatred, and realized, oh my God, what the hell's going on? Similarly to Pedro Albizu Campos, right below him here, which is our Martin Luther King. But that's a conversation for later, since most people, I don't expect them to know Puerto Rican history. You have to be uh, forthright and do your research to find out what's going on. Me, myself, I found out things here in the last 10 years I didn't know growing up because we are not taught cultural history. We're only taught American heritage. A quick example, most people consider the beginning of the U.S. 1607 Jamestown because the British colonies technically start then, forgetting that St. Augustine was colonized by the Spanish in 1565. And recent history here, the last 7 years, now they're saying that Pensacola can technically take that crown by being established in 1559. The difference is Pensacola was not continuously inhabited since 1559, whereas St. Augustine was. So not only do the Hispanic culture predate British culture through Spain, the Puerto Rican culture predates America by hundreds of years. So, and we still don't have our freedoms as a state. We should have been the 51st state a long time ago. But I'm pretty thoroughly disgusted in the comments I've seen and heard from family and friends I've known for years about Puerto Ricans and our culture and calling us un-American and America haters. That's technically very not fucking true at all. So I would advise you, please do your research. And, I think a lot of this came here because the polarizing election change that happened in the beginning of the year, but then the recent assassination of Charlie Kirk, which was horrific, and nobody's for, I think it turned up the temperature on people's real feelings towards each other. And that's not a good thing. It's really not. We're at a point now that we're more divided than we were in 2020. We gotta ask ourselves why that is, and how do we fix it. But before y'all put your opinions on Puerto Rico, do your research first and find out what's really going on. And when you realize the many contributions that Puerto Rico has done for the United States, especially as the oldest slave colony in the world and the Western Hemisphere, we're going on what, 600 years? Then hey, just saying, try to be kind and think before you speak.